Intellectual laziness of oneness theories. The two oneness theories are physicalism and idealism. Physicalism states that everything can be explained by the known physics of today. We can look at this as a kind of physics oneness. They treat any speculation of new phenomena that are currently not known to science as superstitious and religious thinking. Idealism states that everything can be explained by consciousness. We can look at this as a kind of consciousness oneness. They believe that all physical phenomena from science are really conscious phenomena in some way. Proponents for each of these theories will always invoke parsimony or Occam's razor to support their oneness perspectives. But parsimony and Occam's razor are not scientific principles. They are at best folk science principles, but mostly they are invoked out of intellectual laziness. The oneness people use these folk principles to try and delegitimize any dualistic or triplistic perspectives. Oneness theories are incoherent with the manifest universe that we know. It is clear that there are two separate phenomena spaces in the universe. There is the normal physical space of matter, energy, space, time, wave functions, etc. But there is also a very real conscious space of conscious experiences like the redness of red, the standard A tone, the salty taste, the smell of bleach, the touch of a rough surface, pain, pleasure, sadness, happiness, etc. These two spaces are separate distinct phenomena spaces that must be explained. Conscious experiences refuse to be pushed back into the physics of neurons, and the physical neurons refuse to be pushed into some aspect of consciousness. It is intellectually lazy to wave a wand and declare that everything is physics or that everything is consciousness, and then further declare that these very declarations solve the problem of consciousness. The damaging aspect of this kind of oneness thinking is that it stifles further exploration of consciousness. It again creates an intellectual laziness where, for the physicalist, there is no further open-minded thinking or research into consciousness that is needed. The physicalists are just standing by and praying for the revelation that will finally show how conscious experience arises from the neurons. The idealists are even worse in their intellectual laziness because they believe, by virtue of just saying an incantation, everything is consciousness, that somehow consciousness is explained and therefore no further thought is needed. The believers of these oneness perspectives are usually verbally militant and arrogantly protective of their individual doctrines of oneness. This is probably driven by their inability to coherently explain their beliefs. But it might be more a symptom of their recognition of the frailty of their beliefs. As bad as these oneness perspectives are on an intellectual level, it could eventually happen that one of them is found to be true someday because when it comes to consciousness, everything is still on the table. But physicalism has been around for at least a couple of hundred years using modern science, and there has been zero explanation for how consciousness is going to arise from the neurons. Idealism has been around for a couple of thousand years with no real intuitive explanation for how the physical world is made out of consciousness. I would say that some sort of statute of limitations has expired for these theories. We need a new and fresh evaluation of what we are doing with consciousness theories. The oneness theories seem like dead ends at this time, and we logically should move on. A more intellectually challenging and coherent position to take is to first recognize and admit that there are two separate phenomena spaces in the universe, and then try to explain what they are, or at least try to explain how they might interact with each other. The intermind model, IMM, can apply to physicalism or idealism, but for physicalism the model collapses into physical space, and for idealism the model collapses into conscious space. The three stages of the intermind model must still exist, but they must incoherently be pushed into one of the spaces or the other. Each of these oneness theories must explain what an intermind, IM, is within the theory. Connectism, as described on this website, is a far more coherent theory of the manifest universe, and it does not fall back on folk principles like parsimony and Occam's razor. Also, connectism does specify what an intermind is within the theory.